Hey everyone. So we all hear that exercise is good for us, right? But what if you could use it to, specifically upgrade your brain? Today, we're going to dive into the science of how to work out smarter, not just harder, to get a much sharper mind.
So let's just jump right in with a pretty wild question. Imagine you've got a choice. 20 minutes of just all-out, super intense effort on a bike, or a nice, steady 40-minute jog. Which one do you think actually gives your brain the bigger boost? I think the answer is going to surprise you.
All right, let's get into it. The whole idea that moving your body is good for your brain, that's not exactly new. But the specifics, the actual recipe for the best possible brain benefits, well, that's where the science starts to get really, really cool.
And look, we're not just talking about feeling good in general here. We are talking about targeted, measurable improvements. We're talking about making your brain more flexible, making your thinking quicker, and really sharpening your problem-solving skills. It's all about finding the most efficient way to connect your sweat to your synapses.
So to figure this out, we're going to look at this really fascinating study from the National Institutes of Health. Basically, researchers set up this showdown between two very different workout styles to see which one was the true champion when it comes to boosting your brain. So in one corner, you've got HIIT. That stands for high-intensity interval training. Just think, sprints. It's all about these short, explosive bursts of maximum effort, and then you rest. And in the other corner, you have MICE, which is moderate-intensity continuous exercise. This is your classic long run, or maybe a steady ride on a bike. Two totally different approaches to fitness, right?
Now here's what's so clever about how they designed this study. The HIIT group, they went all out for 15 seconds, then rested for 15 seconds, and they just repeated that for about 20 minutes. The MICE group, they just pedaled along at a steady, kind of moderate pace for about 40 minutes. But here's the kicker. The researchers made sure that the total energy spent in both workouts was almost exactly the same. So this isn't about who burned more calories, it's about how they burned them.
So for 6 weeks, these young, healthy adults hit the stationary bikes 3 times a week, sticking to their plan. And before they started and after they finished, they took a bunch of cognitive tests, to measure things like how fast they could process information and their mental flexibility. The goal was simple: which group was going to see the biggest brain gains? And this is where it gets really compelling. Because after those 6 weeks were up, the data told a very, very clear story. One of these workouts was just dramatically better at boosting a very specific kind of brain power. Okay, let's look at the numbers from a key test that measures how well your brain can switch between different tasks. Before the training, the HIIT group took about 42 seconds to complete it. After 6 weeks, they absolutely crushed it, down to just 30 seconds. Now, look at the MICE group. They started at 33 seconds, and they ended at 34 seconds. They didn't just not improve, they actually got a tiny bit slower. Just let that sink in for a second. That is a 28% improvement in cognitive flexibility for the high-intensity group. It's just an amazing illustration of the power of intensity. For the exact same amount of energy spent, one group got this massive cognitive upgrade, and the other one, well, they got nothing. So what exactly is it that they improved? Well, they boosted something called their executive functions. The best way to think about this is like it's your brain's CEO. It's that set of high-level skills that manages everything else. It's your ability to plan, to pay attention, to juggle a bunch of tasks, and to solve really complex problems. And HIIT, it turns out, was like a super targeted training camp for the brain's front office.
The researchers themselves were pretty blunt in their conclusion. They said HIIT wasn't just another workout, it was a highly efficient way to specifically improve these crucial executive functions. It's kind of like a shortcut to a sharper mind.
So okay, we have this incredible tool, right? This brain hack. But knowing this brings up a really, really human question, one that I am sure every single one of us has felt before. If 20 minutes of intense work gives you way better results than 40 minutes of jogging, why do we dread it so much? Why is it so easy to procrastinate? Well, it turns out there's a neuroscience behind that feeling of reluctance, and that brings us to the second, equally fascinating study. It turns out that long before your muscles even start to move, your brain is busy running this really sophisticated calculation. It's weighing the cost of all that intense effort against whatever the potential reward might be. So, researchers used MRI scanners to literally peek inside people's brains while they were deciding whether or not to do a difficult physical task. And they found that feeling of, ugh, that looks really hard. It's not just in your head. It's a specific, measurable process happening in your brain. So what is going on inside this effort calculator? Well, it's mostly 3 key parts.
First, there's a part of your prefrontal cortex that acts as a valuation center. And as a task looks harder, the activity here actually goes down. It's literally calculating the cost of doing it. At the very same time, your sensory cortex fires up and it starts imagining what all that effort is going to feel like. And then finally, another area acts like the go button that you press only after your brain has already done all the math.
Okay, so let's put these two big ideas together. We've got the incredible cognitive boost you get from intense exercise on one hand, and on the other, we've got this internal brain battle we fight just to get started.
So here's the whole path from start to finish. Step 1. Your brain's internal calculator immediately flags the high cost of a high-intensity HIIT workout. That's that feeling of resistance. Step 2. You have to make a conscious choice to ignore that initial negative feeling. Step 3. You actually do the work, that short, intense session. And finally, Step 4. You collect your reward, which is a big, measurable boost in your brain's executive function.
And this all brings us to the final, and I think most empowering idea. Just understanding this internal cost-benefit analysis is the first step to overriding it. Knowing that your initial hesitation is just a quick calculation happening in your prefrontal cortex, well, that gives you the power to challenge it. The cognitive rewards are real and they are significant. So the only question left is, can you convince your brain's CEO that the price is absolutely worth paying?